Tara from Ancient Voice Rising, and I'm excited to bring this new conversation um, to you all. And I would like to state here that please take what you resonate with and what you do not resonate with, leave it. Okay. These conversations on Ancient Voice Rising are conversations from many walks of journeys. And I am here to listen and to build on the perspective, the angle, and the perceptions of the ones that are coming on so bravely, so courageously to share their stories that have never been shared like this before. My hopes and dreams are that in something that is said here, that you will go to my website at ancientvoicerising.com and choose, as I invite you to fill out the contact form, which will send me an email so that we can connect, so that your voice can be heard. It does not matter what path you're walking. No, in this space, you are safe. You are held, you are loved, and you are supported, and you are not judged. I want to express to you the gratitude that I have for this opportunity to listen and to hear you and to support you. As I have been seen, heard, and listened to many times over again, and there'll be many more times over again. So I'm now going to introduce you to my good friend, Brooke Gilley. Hello, Brooke, and
Hi.
welcome to Ancient Voice Rising.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Let's take a moment and you introduce yourself in what you do, and that um, in your ecology or your educational side and your other side.
So full time, I work as a park naturalist. So that's like my professional aspect of things. Um, and there's also the spiritual side of things, and I consider myself to do the work as an empath and a rescue medium. So when I say rescue medium, it is specifically a medium who helps lost souls that people may refer to as ghosts, or we call them earthbound souls that are stuck for a variety of reasons, and helping them to cross over. Um, so that is the professional side. And it is a way to blend those two aspects together, not necessarily the rescue mediumship, but the spiritual aspect. Um, I also am a spiritual ecology facilitator, and currently in the process of getting a graduate certificate in eco-spirituality. So we can help more people connect with the earth on a spiritual level.
So in the educational part of where you go and you teach and you, for a lack of better words, your day job, right?
Yeah.
Can you kind of expand a little bit on that part, and then we can bring in that the part that you're now working on merging together?
Yes. So as a park naturalist, I do a lot of various educational programs. So it can be school programs, it can be adult programs, it can be special events that I'm working on. It could be exhibit cases that I'm working on, interpretive signage that you may see at zoos, nature centers, museums, that kind of thing, where you see the
Okay.
signage. I do that stuff as well. So I teach a variety of age groups. Sometimes we actually do outreach programs as well, where we go out into the community and we do school field trips in schools, at our local parks, and also library programs, a lot of adult programs with senior living facilities or garden clubs and that kind of thing.
Wow. All right. How exciting. Oh my gosh. Um, so I'm going to get my questions out here that I had wrote down first. We're going to lean into this first. The would you call it an ecologist in a sense? That like what your field of study, what your education is.
As far as my naturalist hat that I wear, I wouldn't say that I'm an ecologist, or there's specific there are people that specifically study ecology,
Okay.
who I would be more in alignment with calling ecologists, and a lot of them are, say, restoration ecologists, where they're restoring habitat. That isn't their only aspect of what they do. Um, so I wouldn't necessarily say that I wear the hat of an ecologist. We wear many different hats
Okay.
in this work. And my actual educational background is environmental education and interpretation as my
So that
undergrad.
would that be like would that include like different species of plants and animals and what their function is and how they work in this natural world and how they provide like that type of
Yes, there are aspects of that.
okay.
We want people to understand how ecology functions, and that is certainly a part of our job. And then I want to say it, creation care is another a aspect, because if we don't help to create and foster awareness in people and curiosity of the natural world, and help make those connections for people. Um, it can be a little bit challenging for the general public. Um,
Yeah. So
yeah, it's
getting back to earth, like getting back
yes.
into earth living.
Hmm.
Would
Yeah.
that be a fair statement?
Yes. Yeah, I would
Okay.
say that would be a fair statement.
Okay. Um, from your perspective, what is the most misunderstood truth about what you could elaborate on within your field, the ecosystems that we live in? Is there any part of that that you feel there's a message that needs to get out there and we're talking about your educational part of it. Is there a message here that you would like to place here that you would like others to um, hear your perspective on about how
Sure.
you okay.
So and I'm speaking in generalities,
Okay.
we as society have distanced ourselves from nature. We're not seeing ourselves as being part of nature. Nature is somehow this mystical thing that is like separate from us, but we are in fact nature. Um, so this separation has been taking place probably since the Industrial Revolution, and it's
Mm.
just kind of been sped up in many ways. We work these 9 to 5 jobs, and even as a naturalist, I spend a lot of time in the office. So we're getting in our cars and we're going to work. I'm sorry, that is my dog squeaking his squeak toy.
It's
Um,
okay.
but um, we're not spending a whole lot of time outside in the natural world. And a lot of times,
Mm.
like nature is something that we go to rather than seeing as it being something that's surrounds all of us. There, even in an urban setting, there is nature to explore. Um, so nature is all around us. We are part of it. Um, that kind of thing. And we're not separate from
Right.
it.
So it lives within us as well.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Um, you are also, and we'll get once we get some of the terms out,
Hmm.
then we'll go into some stories and get into some of that kind of stuff. But you are also known to some as a rescue medium.
Hmm.
How exciting! I am. I We had a wonderful conversation last night,
We
and
did.
I am excited for you to tell our audience about being a rescue medium and what that. How did that come about? First of all, how did you enter into that, or even hear about it, or
Okay. Um, it's kind of a long story. I'll try to keep it somewhat truncated. Um, it's not a term that I was familiar with until I had my experience. So I'm going to go back in time.
absolutely, and then
So
tell us your experience as well, if you
yeah.
feel comfortable with that.
So, um, how do I begin? So it was, first of all, disclaimer.
Yeah.
Uh, there was a situation in which my mom and I were playing with a Ouija board. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, yeah. So exactly. So we always want to stress, if you're using any form of d divination, is spiritual protection is really important. And there's a reason why, because you're opening a doorway, whether
Mhm.
you realize it or not. And you may be trying to connect with something higher in the higher realm. Um, but there are energies that are on this earth plane that are similar to our own, where that doorway is open for them to come in. So in my case,
So basically, there's one doorway that you're opening up, and a multitude of multidimensional, interdimensional parallels could come in that one door.
yeah, and we're looking at our own home, our own physical home as, say, a space, and we are leaving the door open, the front door open. We are inviting anybody to walk through at that moment. So,
Gotcha.
like a living person, anybody
Yeah.
can come through. And do you really want that to happen? So do you really want that to happen with spirit to come through and not know who they are? You don't really want strangers in your home. So, be it the physical living human versus the, say, the the non-physical, human being, the ghost or whoever. Do you really want that in your space? No,
That's a great analogy to
you yeah,
explain it.
you want to have boundaries put in space in your space of who you're allowing in. Um, so that's why spiritual protections are really important. So we have that as a disclaimer.
Okay.
So I, since I was young, have had different experiences and didn't really have language to put to them. Um, And then when we started using the Ouija board, there was kind of like a telepathic connection made. It was also kind of the catalyst for my spiritual awakening. And, there's a voice, specifically a male voice. And I remember years before my mom saying that she felt like, my parents were divorced at that time. She felt like there was a man in her bed.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
I,
And
I
then
I get that.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then like there was a lot of lead up and I kept on questioning who this person was. So I went and visited someone after 3 years of having this person, hearing that him. Um,
Was he causing her any harm, or how did she know? Like what was the energy doing to present itself in the bed next to her? Would
I think she just felt like there was a being there, but
Okay.
wasn't sure. So through this process and questioning who this was, I ended up seeing a psychic medium near me. And she's like, your mom had experiences. I didn't share this with her, but she's like, your mom had experiences. And this person, and she had to go back and really ruminate on this before she gave me this information. She said, there is a man that is connected with your family, and he committed suicide. And after being rejected in love by my great grandmother. So they were in a relationship, and I don't know what happened. Um, but he ended up hanging himself. And I actually had a vision at night, and you know, visions and dreams, there can be quite a bit of overlap in what is a vision and what is a dream. This was very real. It was very sequential. I was standing in front of my bathroom mirror, and right behind me was this man, and I could see ligature marks across his neck from him hanging himself. So I'm
Hmm.
like, well, that totally makes sense that this person committed suicide via hanging. She tried to help me with him, and while all mediums, well, not all mediums are rescue mediums. So they might not know how to cross a person over, but they can definitely have a conversation with spirit, um, but not necessarily know. So this went on, 13, 14 years with this guy. And he was very good at playing and on my emotions and amplifying them. So that's how earthbound energies can sometimes feed off of our own energy because our energy is similar to them. And it's not like they're doing it with intentionality to do that to a person. That's just
Do
the
you
way it
think they're just
works.
trying to get like our attention to
I
um
I I do. Yeah, I think they're trying to get our attention in order to have us help them.
okay.
So through social media, it had shared some of my experiences, and one person's like, you need to talk to this person named Roz. And we sh ended up connecting, um and
I
then
love Ross. She's great.
I I do too.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, have you helped him to cross? I'm like, I had no knowledge on how to do that. So she called me very generously. We had a conversation, and she's in the UK, and this was late at night for her, and it was like 7 p.m. for me, and we're like 6 hours difference. So we chatted on the phone, well, on Messenger, and she walked
Right.
me through what I needed to do, and I was able to help him cross over.
Would you like to share a part of that, or are you um not, I mean, you don't have to go into details, but maybe someone is having
Mhm,
an experience like that and they're searching for, instead of taking 13 to 14 years to
mhm.
finally connect and figure this out, maybe is there something in there that you could share that would lead them in the right direction? Would you feel comfortable with that?
Sure. So it in some situations, and again, this was my first crossing,
Hmm.
and since then I've learned a lot more about the process. But she is like, we need to pull forward, your spirit guides. I'm like, I know I have spirit guides, but I don't know who they are. And she's like, well, there's a female figure coming into your right hand side, which I kind of felt the energy. And she's like, it is a relative. Well, it turns out it was my great grandmother who had this connection with this man. It was her mom. Um, and she showed me a ring, and it's a ring that I own, so I knew it was her. So I
Right.
could
Okay.
see this image in my mind
Right.
of her wearing this ring. So I knew it was her that came in after Roz is like, you have someone with you that. So she's really the one that helped me. And what Roz had me do is she's like, well, I want you to envision, like, I'm paraphrasing, so if I'm not getting this correct, I want you to like Im imagine this almost like this tornado cone of like light energy coming down and kind of him going away with it or kind of slurping him up. And I'm like, no, that's not going to work for me. So I created an image of a doorway
Okay.
where I opened the door and had it filled with light. And finally, he he went through. He There was a lot of emotions between the two of us, but I was happy for him, happy that after all of this stuff, that of these experiences that we both had, that he was finally able to go through. So in some cases with rescue mediumship, um, the energy is willing to cross almost immediately. Some of them, depending on what they've been through in their life, and it's usually fear-based, why they are here.
Mm,
They are afraid of judgment. And in
mm.
Charles's case, the Earthbound who is connected with my family, he had committed suicide, so he was very connected with that dogma of that suicide is bad, and there will be punishment or retribution for that. And that's why he hung around. And it took him a little bit of convincing for him to go, but it didn't take us long for us to get him to move on.
Hmm.
Um, and there's one of Roz's guides who she calls Monk, who had a religious background, came through and actually like kissed Charles' feet, like letting him know that it was okay for him to move on. So when you have that religious figure, that it's like there will be no judgment for you. I'm not judging you, and helping him to cross. And he actually, the day before the crossing, had a whole bunch of people, um, surrounding him. And I could see that. And then Roz told me, and I'm like, okay, so that wasn't just my imagination. So there was
Right.
this surrounding of love for him, and we were finally able to get him to cross. So counseling can be a big thing, and it's having no judgment, it's having empathy through what they've been through. Because we all have things that we aren't
Yes.
necessarily proud of in our
Yeah.
own lives.
Yeah.
Um, and,
Yeah.
not having that judgment, having compassion and empathy is really huge and helping them to move on. And each case is unique into of itself of what needs to be done. But we do
Absolutely.
work very heavily with our spirit guides, and sometimes we bring forward um, loved ones or whomever on the other side and bring them forward, and they are the ones that kind of are able to reach that person and pull them through, which is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Um, so the guides that you work with, um, are they or do they come to you as family members, angels
Mm.
of all? I mean, like, how would you describe to someone like what your if you could put them in, like, I can't ever describe mine
Yeah,
to a I can't I can't classify them, right, as
yeah,
angels or demons or, you know, it's more of like a frequency of vibration of, you know, a more for me a state of consciousness, like a frequency that I can feel, and that will sometimes morph into something and show me, you know, like a dragon or a crow, or I'll see wings sometimes, so that I kind of know which direction I need to go
mm,
in that particular case that I'm working on. So how
yeah.
would you like, or do you have like a set, almost like a set protocol that you use
Um,
to connect with them and see them in a certain way? Or
are you talking about guides or are you talking about
Mhm.
Earth?
God, we're talking about.
I don't necessarily have a protocol of how I connect with them. I always say, whatever information is coming through, let it be for my highest good. Because we've talked about spiritual connection, or spiritual protection, and
Well, what
I,
is like how do you spiritually protect yourself before we even get into the guides part?
I think well, there's a few different ways. I don't want to call them like an animal totem because there's a whole lot of different
Yeah.
contexts with that.
Mm.
I have a animal spirit ally who is a tiger, who he is a protector. So he comes through. Sometimes I am him. We morph into one, and he is different. He's definitely my protector in certain situations. Um, my spirit guides have given me spiritual weapons. They have all of a sudden, I have a weapon in my hand. It's like, being in a video game and it can be just
Yeah.
more, morph into your hands. It's not like you're being literally handed those tools by a guide. They just kind of like automatically appear.
Right. Their
Yeah.
gift.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and
That's how I would perceive it, is that's how mine gave me mine. It
yeah,
was like, okay, here you go. Here's a gift now for you to use. Make sure that you wield it correct, you know.
yeah. And I've never had to come, well, once I've had to come in, like use a weapon in combat. Other times they've just been in my hands and I've never really had to use them. But there was one instance I had to, which is very interesting experience, I will say. Um, Spiritual protections, there is a 12D shield, YouTube
Okay.
that we usually recommend a lot of times to um, our clients that we're working with. And I should say, our rescue medium support Facebook group, we do not charge for crossing souls over. Some folks will, when they, go to a home and work with earthbounds. We do not. We do a lot remote viewing and help people to cross anybody who we may feel is there. Um,
Okay.
so now I'm going to backtrack.
Okay.
Um,
No, that's good. That's good.
so the 12D Shield YouTube is something that is a tool that is on YouTube that anybody can access, and it creates a shield or a bubble around you in order to form that protection.
Is it like the tube with the disc at the bottom and the disc at the top that you
Correct.
build
Yeah,
the disc and
correct.
then the tube comes up and then it builds and seals in?
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
That's a powerful shield.
it is. And there's that I think grounding should also be seen as a form of protection too.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your energy is in disarray and you're not grounding your energy, you're not also being able to discern what is your energy and someone else's energy. Um, that can be creating a little bit of opening for some chaos to happen too if you're not actively
Oh,
grounding.
I know that very well.
Um, so that is, important. And I think people individually have to learn what works best for them.
Right.
I'm sure your tools that or your spiritual weapons that your guides have given you are completely different than what I have been given. So, like everybody, it's just kind of creating those metaphysical tools in your toolbox that you learn how to use. So, the more tools in your toolbox that you know how to use is awesome.
Yes. So I got the 10-minute marker. So we're just going to keep talking and then we'll move into the next video
Okay.
just to let you know. So yeah, my what I was given well, I came from Christianity in North Carolina. And so I was heavenly indoctrinated into, heaven and hell and, angels and demons and that kind of stuff. And when I had a very terrifying, absolutely terrifying awakening in the
Mm,
very beginning, or I was being surrounded by my bed and I had gone to a psychic, which I've always had that knowing and my mother's always been able to see spirit. But this was someone that I was with for 10 years that committed suicide.
mm,
And I just couldn't, he felt like a protector of my daughters.
mm,
And I couldn't connect. I just couldn't get I I wasn't conscious enough. I was
mm,
coming into that stronger awareness. And I went to a psychic and came home with an attachment,
yeah.
and that amplified. And then I found a shaman that helped me and taught me how to open portals and close portals,
Mm,
and she worked with energies that would be considered in society demonic. But I tell you, when they came in and they helped and cleansed my home and did everything that they were doing. Um, I never felt so much love in my life.
Mm.
It was really, and then it got real interesting. But anyway, so I get it. So hopefully that your what you're saying will assist. People can, like, I believe it's trusting. It's trusting in what you're feeling and you're hearing and you're seeing, and you know what's serving you and what's not.
Yeah.
And we got to, in the next part of it, we'll bring in maybe some thought forms, projections, and
Okay.
how some spaces could hold the echoes of thought forms and projections. You want to elaborate?
Are we talking about I I don't know enough about thought forms or projections. I don't know if you're talking about residual energy.
Residual.
Residual energy is interesting because we can, say, enter a space and it might have those really like off feelings.
Hmm.
And it might not be an earthbound or some other energy. I like to say if it's non-intelligent and you're not having like an intelligent conversation or
Okay.
um, that it,
So you would have an intelligent conversation with Charles.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it it was an entity, a spirit.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. And versus residual energy, like say a building that like an old building, and there is years and years and years of people being in that building, and it can be. I'm trying to think of a good example. Um, Recently we found out, we were working with the case and it wasn't the house itself, it was somewhere on the property that there was a house of ill repute. It was a club. It was, um, there was prostitution happening, and it was in the 1920s, and there were lots and lots of people that we ended up crossing, but there's also the residual energy of that place, and it's not necessarily the people, it's the if you get in a really bad argument with someone, that energy has a tendency to, I want to say, stick to the walls.
Yes.
And there's this misnomer, with earthbound and energies, they want to immediately get out the sage, and if they got an entity in their place, get out the sage and try to get that being or whoever. I'm like,
Sage
that doesn't
doesn't remove entities.
it doesn't. It
It can
doesn't.
it can assist in emotions, clearing that residual emotional energy. But I've always
Exactly.
said it don't remove entities, which are or like earthbound spirits. That's a
It,
whole different ball game.
yeah. I'm like, it's great for removing residual energy and clearing a space of like, ooh, there's just this really icky feeling. And, when you get a bit bad vibe, when you enter in a space and there might not be any entities or earthbounds or anything,
Right.
it's just that buildup of energy and then you're open to that, experiencing that, you're going to feel it.
Well, that can also like psychological issues
Mm,
that those they can basically like stick to the walls too,
yeah.
when you're exhibiting those types of things. So yeah, I'm not dumbing on sage or palo or anything like that. It can be useful to brighten up the emotional, which helps brighten the mental. state of a place.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, entities, big difference.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me see where we're at here. Okay, we got 2 minutes. You want to keep going?
Sure, for the 2 minutes we got, we can go.
Cool. And then we'll start the next one.
Okay. Um, did you
You
have a
were
question?
um I forgot where we were.
Well, using sage and other plants to remove entities, and then residual energy we were talking about.
Yeah. Um so with the rescue mediumship, if someone would like to get involved in that, how would you suggest, um, like if someone is having issues, things that are going on that they don't understand in their home or on their land or, with their person, with their being, their
Hmm.
physical body, um, how would you tell them to get involved in something of that nature? Because it can be a learned experience. You can learn how.
Yeah, exactly. So we do have, as I mentioned earlier, a rescue medium support page where um we can help people if they have a situation in their house. We don't have to physically be there to do the removal. Um, Kelly, who is one of my colleagues on that Facebook group, we usually work together because we get little bits of information like a puzzle, and a lot of it has some overlap. Um, and then we're able to cross a person over. The biggest thing I could say to people is fear will be a huge barrier for you in this work. If you are feeling that you are afraid of what is happening, fear will cause you more issues. Um, have I been in fear of a situation? Absolutely. I have been in fear of certain situations, but I've also not backed down. I'm like, fear is going to be a big thing. And next thing is having your spiritual protections in place ahead of time. And I should mention Roz Way, who is kind of the person who mentored me and learning how to do this work. She does have a rescue medium circle that she does with people who are entering in how to do rescue mediumship.
Can we
Uh,
put that link in the description for people to, when I go in and put this video out on YouTube, we can put that.
Absolutely, we can.
Okay, so just send me that link when we're done, and I'll add that to the description so people know where they can go to not only learn how to do this, but they can also go in, and if they need assistance, then they can get assistance as well.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot of people waking up to this right now,
Yeah.
and they're going to need assistance and guidance.
And people may have never heard of the terminology rescue medium before. Sometimes it's called spirit and rescue. And there's more and more books being written about it. If we look, cross-culturally or worldwide, it's usually mediumship is a form of psychopomp work. Um, maybe you've heard of death doulas. Death doulas
Mhm.
has is a very popular term as well. It is assisting with the crossing of a person when they make that final transition from the earth plane to the spirit plane. I
Right.
don't know enough about death doulas to really speak about their particular process of helping with a person who is transitioning. Um, as far as the metaphysical aspect, I don't know if there is much of a metaphysical aspect in relation to their work. So I
Well,
do not.
I know that before they pass, they will go in and explain to the family,
Mm,
and if the one that is in transition is coherent, they will say, they will go through, like, almost like a, there's nothing to be afraid of there, there's no, go in peace, and they will help them, so when they do transition, that they don't become earthbound and
hmm
stuck and attached to, um I do have some experience with that, and working with social workers on death dueling, and it is done in a space like a hospice type
mm,
atmosphere. And it really is just being a guide for the family, in the understanding of the transitioning process and what is perceived to happen afterwards, and helping the client, or the one that's transitioning, understand that, when you transition, when you start to transition, you'll start to see or speak to or be visited by your family members,
hmm
your guides that have been with you that maybe you didn't know about. And they can talk to those guides and have them come in, and those family members come in and bring that being into a state of calm and peace. And if there's anything left unsaid, you know they help them get that to the family, and translate it, and that kind of stuff. And it's holding their hand, and holding space and giving them support. And the ones that I have experienced move directly. They're gone
hmm
very peacefully, and the family can feel that peace as well. So
Yeah.
I encourage people to, if you're interested in something like that, hospice or social work, to add that into your repertoire of learning how to send someone that's transitioning into, back into spirit, um, to engage in that part of it, because it really does help in my experience.
Yeah. And I mean, rescue mediumship, and as you explained so well, what death doulaship is like, it can be a very challenging experience, but it's a very rewarding experience as well.
It can be challenging to see someone take their last breath, and to
Yeah.
go through whatever they may be going through at that time, to experience that, the spirit leaving.
Mm,
um all that I have come across are extremely excited to be out of the body, and
yeah.
finally able to be free,
Mm,
with no guilt, shame, regrets, or um, beliefs holding them back, thinking that they're leaving to be judged or anything like that.
yeah.
And it's a very swift and smooth, and extremely, it is a love that is just beyond our comprehension.
Mm, mhm. Yeah. I would agree with you on that, because there's been a few times in crossing someone, eh, you either have this very ecstatic feeling afterwards, or there have been times where I've broken down in tears. They were happy tears. They weren't sad
Yeah,
tears, but it
right.
was a very emotional experience. And there is a light and a lifting that I can't even put words to.
Mm-hmm. That
It's
transition is,
indescribable.
yeah, and it's almost it's like midwifing a life into this world. It is, they really go kind of hand in hand, in my experience. It's 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 amazing to have, you know, the baby come into this world and in such a natural transitioning way, and then to turn around and see, someone that's lived however long they were here, to transition into that spirit in a natural manner,
Mm,
not of, fear of where they're going or what's going to happen to them. Um it's it can be a beautiful process, but to get, and I don't know if this is the right word to use, but if to get accustomed to that, coming and going
mm,
of the energy of the spirit, um, can take a little bit to get used to. Yeah.
hmm
Um,
Yeah,
because you're not only dealing with the person that's transitioning, you're dealing with the family as well, and you are the bridge for the family too.
yeah, yeah. And in
In
most
most
cases
cases.
where I'm working, there may not even be living family because we just don't know because it's usually uh, it's a person who is already transitioned. We're not there to be with that person on a physical um, basis,
Right.
and their transition has already happened. But oftentimes, loved ones and family members come through from the other side, and you're able to facilitate this reuniting of soul family, um, or even pets have come through, and we're able to facilitate that returning or reconnecting with people who have
Hmm.
already transitioned to the other side, which is a beautiful experience as well.
Absolutely. Uh, I have felt my companions, Bronx and Jersey, come through many
Mm.
times, to say, Mama, it's okay. We're still here. I've literally had my bed, like, Bronx would come in, when he was, still in the physical form. And when he wanted me and my husband up, he would bang up against the bottom of the bed. And literally, it was like an earthquake because he was a 150-pound white lab. And
Oh.
then he would bang himself up against the bed until one of us was like, okay, 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 we're up. And Jersey would jump up, his sister would jump up on the bed. So after they passed, I would have nights where he would hit the bed. And that took a little getting used to.
Yeah.
And then waking up with something jumping on the bed and there not be anything there. But it was like, you just know, like, I could feel that it was, her, because, because of the manner of it. It
Hmm.
was repetition of what she would do when she was in physical. And then it was just all just lovey gooey, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm here to support you because I know what you're going through and I know what you're about to go through. And
I love
so,
that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So, anything else that you would like to bring up, that we haven't discussed?
I am trying to think.
I have questions, but I think that we're flowing pretty well.
Yeah. I,
Um,
I will say there have been there have been cases that I've worked with other people where I've mentioned no fear. Fear often, and of course there's fear.
so how
Um,
do you overcome? So how would you tell someone that's watching this how to do their best to the best of their ability to overcome the fear of it?
well, quite frankly, media and things like that have not been helpful. I've worked many different cases where people think they have something demonic in their house because
Mm,
it's unexplainable, the things that are happening, and it turns out most times, and basically all the cases that I've worked, it's been an earthbound energy, a human who has not successfully crossed over. And that's what they're experiencing. Um, I'm not saying that demonic energies are not real, but in most of the cases I've worked, it has always been a human presence that has not crossed, that is creating the issue.
yeah,
But so there immediately when you start working in that case, there is that fear in this person's mindset. And when sometimes when you're having a conversation, well, this person passed because of this, and the reasoning behind their non-crossing is fear based on this, and this. There's a little bit more compassion and non-judgment that's involved. Um, so we can definitely help the living person be at ease. And it's very interesting, like the sometimes there's questions like, well, who is this person? What is their name? Blah, blah, blah. They want to know like a whole life history. And I'm like, you
right.
know what? I'm not gonna, if I'm not being given a name and I rarely get names, I just want to know why they're here, what has caused them to remain. Is there a way that I can help them and counsel them to move on? So I'm not really stopping there to get all the details, their entire diary of their life, of, what their profession was and all that. I am like,
Yeah. A
okay,
lot of
what
people
do
want
I
that
gotta do to help you?
confirmation.
Yeah,
They want that, what color was my dog? What was my dog's name? You know, what, what did my what did this being, is it on my mom or my dad's side? They want confirmation because they're looking for something to help them believe
yeah.
in it. And it's like sometimes it's like the energy's just not there to say, hey, my name is this. And, you know,
And Roz, I'm paraphrasing what she has said, when we are usually able to get a lot of details, it usually is from an earthbound because their frequency, their energy is very similar to a living human being, whereas a medium has to basically increase their vibration or and what the beings that are in source have to lower almost theirs. And
yeah.
that's why it's almost, I don't know if that's
And
where the
that would be a
term
difference
medium
between
came from.
that would be a difference between an intelligent energy and a non-intelligent energy, which could be classified as residual energy that's, like from worry and stress and a trauma of, and fear and stuff like that.
So we have to increase our frequency to talk with family members who have actually transitioned. And we might not be able to get all the details
Yeah.
of that person, where it's easier if you are able to know the whole backstory of a person, it's usually an earthbound. So fear, it's hard, especially if you're physically being touched, which is a no-no.
Hmm.
Um, You should always have a red flag if something is touching you without your permission. That is a absolute no-no. But getting out to nature, I can't stress this enough, meditation can help you to ground you where you're not coming into fear. Um, Standing your ground can and having boundaries in place um, can be really important to what you're willing to accept in your home, what you're not willing to accept in your home. We are only human if we can't see what is creating this experience for us. It can be a fearful thing, and our mind starts going. Um, So it can be very challenging also because we are not always connected that well with our intuition of what we are experiencing as well. So there's that disconnect. We're listening to other things outside of ourself that
Mhm.
are reinforcing our fear as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I've pulled back a little on my uh kind of calmed the psychic center, and um and I'm now in that um listening phase. Like
Mm,
I wanted, like my guides were like, it's time to listen, truly listen without um abandonment.
Listening is huge. Being willing to listen is
Mhm.
huge.
Yeah, because I'm like, I used to be like a freight train. When someone said that they had something going on, I was like full force. And
And
now it's like, let me stop, let me breathe, let me figure out if this is intelligent, residual. Is it a thought form? Is it a collective projection? Um, what is the land saying?
yeah.
And what is the universal energy saying with that land energy, and combining those to get kind of a picture of how to move with it, to get that frequency to shift and change so that that energy can move on and recede.
Hmm.
That is like a word I've learned,
Mm,
when it's unwelcomed, as
yeah.
a crossing my boundary here, recede. I have that power.
Yeah.
People
I
don't
think
believe that they have that power in them to go, "Mm-mm, I have the power here to say, leave now." And people need to
mhm.
know that.
Yeah, and I
In that
think
case, in what you're talking about, being touched, and I'm talking about like that, the no-nos, the
yeah.
uh-uhs. Uh-uh. That's what I do. I go, the uh-uhs.
Yeah, uh the listening though is huge because it's also stopping to listen. It's also an element of our own spiritual protections too. Because if
Mm-mm.
we're ready to go with guns blazing, and then our guides, we're not stopping to listen to our guides and like, ooh, that's not a good situation for us to enter. Uh, or we need to get the whole picture before we enter and work on this situation. I think is
Yeah.
another way of creating boundaries and spiritual protections is stopping to listen and receiving all the information or as much information as we can gather um, before we proceed.
Yeah. And, I've also come to perceive that listening is, after you get in this field, if you want to call it that, and you start listening, you start trusting that power within you,
Hmm.
and knowing that I am held, I'm supported, I've done the work, I've looked, I've gone deep within enough, I'm grounded enough within myself to go, okay, I don't, you, I guess you get to a certain point where you can stand in your sovereignty and set those your boundaries are set through you working through the stuff that's within, um, and really listening to your thoughts and your body and
Hmm.
how you're reacting, and trusting that you're going to get through it. You
Hmm.
always are going to get through it.
Yeah.
um, Let me see where we're at here. We're still pretty good. Usually lets me know at about 10 minutes. Um, okay, so we're going to put the link in the description.
Hmm.
Um, Merging your your rescue mediumship and what you do as a nature, what is it? I'm sorry,
Naturalist. It's
naturalist.
fine.
Sorry. There's like a million things going through my brain now. Um, Merging those two.
So one aspect of that is I've been called in on more than one occasion to do, I don't want to call them land clearings, I want to call them land healings. And that's something that my guides have shown me to do on a few things. We were talking about residual energy earlier.
Mhm.
We have to remember it's not just physical buildings that hold on to residual energy or memory. Um, Land also can hold on to residual energy as well.
Mhm.
So there have been times where I've been called in to do a land healing because there was something that happened to the land that needed to be cleared and healed. Um, and I there is no like handbook out there. I did
Right.
find a book called Land Healing by Dana O'Driscoll, she is the arch druid of North America, and her book is very good in my opinion. And of course, her work is going to be different than how other people work, but it gives you a good primer on how to do this work. But that's something that I've been called in to do because people, we look at like physical refuse that people leave out on the landscape and don't clean up after. And then we look at the residual energy that we leave as energetic refuse on the landscape or on the earth, and we do not go back and try to clean that up or heal that. So that's kind of where the land healing or land clearing helps, and it's to help elevate this earth and help that energy that is human induced to be gone. Um, so that's one element.
Okay.
Yeah. And then as a way to help people to connect spiritually with the earth, because ever since COVID, I have in my professional life seen more and more people coming out to nature, looking to connect with nature.
Mhm.
Not always knowing how to do that.
Right.
I know that seems really odd to say that, like, well, I'm just going to go for a walk in nature. Um, but wanting a deeper relationship, wanting a deeper connection. And during lockdown essentially, there was a offering by Emergence magazine called Deep Dive into Spiritual Ecology.
Mm.
And spiritual ecology has been around for, or I should say, the terminology has been around for a few years, but it's certainly not a new concept, just a new term.
Right.
Most cultures have had some animistic um, connection to the earth where they believe everything is alive and sacred. So with spiritual ecology, there's five values. One is interconnectedness, service, reverence, reciprocity, and compassion is
Mm.
the fifth one. And there's different ways that we practice these five values. So that is something that recently I just finished up a 6 session course or workshop with about 11 different participants um, and helping them to connect with the earth using spiritual ecology values.
Oh, wow.
Um,
That sounds
so
exciting.
yeah, so I mean, even there is a lot of faith-based organizations, whether it be um, something that's kind of near my area called Faith in Place. There is also the Center for Nature and Spirituality. Um, there is, I'm trying to think of some other ones. I'm blanking. But there's
That's
different
okay.
faith-based organizations that are trying to incorporate the earth more into their practices. And as a nature center with spiritual ecology, it was nice because we aren't connected with a faith-based organization. And some people they don't have, they don't want to connect with a faith-based organization. They
Are you talking
want
about religion?
Yes, I
Okay.
am. There are people who um connecting, there's all sorts of various connotations with
Yes.
religion, and they don't want to, go to those places. So this is a neutral, trying to
Yeah.
create a neutral space for people to connect with nature in a spiritual way, but not have it connected with a house of worship or a faith-based community.
Right. So, okay, there's the 10-minute mark down. Um, do you believe that Mother Earth is a sentient being?
Yes,
Do you believe that she is not only what we get to walk on and be a part of, but do you believe that she's within us as well?
yes, I mean, the best way to look at it is human relationships. You know,
Mm.
um, we are connected with our mother. Our mother gave birth to us, and we were born on this earth, and the earth supports us. I mean, when we're connected within our mothers, when we're nourished within by our mothers, and then
Mhm.
when we're out of our mothers, we're also continuing to be nourished. So I the earth nourishes us on many in many ways, and then
Do you think that she's angry with us and that's why all this stuff is happening on the earth, or do you see the other side of the coin, where when someone lives and sees chaos, that is a reflection of themselves that is being represented by, like, the earth is saying, okay, this is what you want, this is what you're going to get. You keep dumping your chaos in me, I'm going to show you. Or how would you frame that?
Well, I look at Earth as in a living being, but I also believe in a higher being, like say creator. There's been some situations that I've been in and I have, that reinforces my belief. Um,
So above and below.
yeah, and I would say, your parents or your caretakers, if say that you're being an unruly child, um, would maybe scold you or discipline you. This is a way, I think sometimes what is happening on this earth is more of a wake-up call.
Yes.
You need to get right with the more than humans that are on this earth, or what we may call as kin, our more than human relatives. We need to get right with the earth. We need to take care of what is here. If we want to get to the religious context of things, not that we necessarily want to go down that road, um, but Creator gave us this earth where we live, um, not to destroy it, not to, just dump our trash, all these things, but to support us.
Okay.
We were given this amazing home. And as an environmentalist, as a park naturalist, we cannot walk this earth without having some negative impact. It's just the way it is.
Right.
Um, and
But we have a choice that we can be aware of it and make conscious decisions on how to contribute to cleaning it up and being responsible
yes,
beings.
responsible caretakers for the
Here.
creation for that was given to us to
Mm.
support us. And maybe given to us is not necessarily the right language, but we were given a home. We were given a place that supports all of our needs. And to respect that, to respect our more than human relatives. I
Okay.
really do think that all that is happening is a wake-up call to do
To do
better.
better. Well, we are at about a little less than 5 minutes. If people want to find you um, for what you do, would they go to the first place that they could go to is the rescue mediumship link that we're going to put in the description.
Yeah.
And
So
then where else would they find you?
So for the rescue mediumship circle, that's through Roz's kind of website. But for the rescue medium support group, if I'm happy to share that link, that is a Facebook group. Um, and if you're looking for non-rescue medium um, sides of things, you can definitely find me on Facebook and just shoot me a message, whether it be, spiritual ecology related or naturalist stuff related. Like, hey, what's this bug? No, I
Yeah.
get that a
Well,
lot.
we
I
have
get
a
that a lot.
we have a group together and it's called Council of Many Paths.
Yeah,
So I'll make sure to put that link in there because we're both in there
yeah.
a lot. And the Ancient Voice Rising has moved it strictly into podcasting. So um, okay. Well, any last 2 minutes? Any last words you would like to leave here?
I I don't I would say stop looking outside of yourself to get validation from other people. Trust your inner self. Nobody knows your story better than you do. So trust your intuition, and that's sometimes very hard to do. things like guided imagery practices can help you to strengthen that, but trust yourself as much as possible.
Great note to end on there, Miss Brooke. Thank you so much for being on. I'm so grateful.
Thank
And
you, Hera.
man, I can't wait. I can't wait to do it all over again. This was great. We didn't even get to like some of our crazy stories and some of the stuff that we have actually talked about. So we'll schedule another one and we'll dive deeper into some interstellar and some other energies that we both work with.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
fun.
sounds
Yeah,
exciting.
part two.
Part two. Part two. So yeah, I'll get that scheduled with you, and you have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you so much again for um, being so courageous and brave and coming and letting your voice be heard.
Yeah, my
I'm
pleasure.
grateful.
Thank you again for the invite.
Absolutely. And we're going to do it again.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
you
Thank
have a wonderful rest of your day too.
you. All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for watching today. My name is Hera. This is Ancient Voice Rising. If you are interested in joining this conversation, please go to my website at ancientvoicerising.com, fill out the contact form. Also, leave messages and comments in the section below. And thank you. Appreciate you very, very much. Peace to you.